Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we are going to discuss about the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, popularly abbreviated as OPEC. Why are they in news? How do their production decision affects the prices of crude oil? That we'll try to understand in our today's video. And if you want to download the notes that I will be using in this class, they will be made available on this particular Telegram channel, ATS Live. So just go to your Telegram app. On the top right hand corner, there's a search bar. Click on it and write ATS Live. You'll find the channel and you can download the notes from there. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Let us start by discussing why are we trying to understand how OPEC and its allies functions. Now, the global oil market now may see increased availability of crude oil because the major producers of crude oil, they have formed a coalition. This coalition is called as OPEC and OPEC plus. OPEC is an abbreviation for Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries. So whenever these countries raise production, it increases the supply of crude oil in the global market. Now, this global oil market for the past few years have been under constant turmoil. This is because of the sanctions that have been imposed on major crude oil producers like Venezuela, like Iran, like Russia, and also because of the conflict that has been going on in the broader Middle Eastern region where most of the major producers are located, right? So in such a scenario, this decision of OPEC to increase the supply would make it easier or make it easy availability of crude oil, therefore pushing down the prices. Now, these momentary decisions may be not important from your exam's perspective. What you need to know, what is OPEC, which countries are there in the OPEC, what is OPEC plus, how are these two different, which countries are there in OPEC plus. In addition to that, we'll also try to understand how such decisions or how major decisions in the crude oil market may affect the availability and prices of crude oil. That is important from your exam, okay? So let us start our today's discussion by understanding what are OPEC and how are they different from OPEC plus. Now, OPEC is a coalition of major oil producers. It was started in 1960 in the city of Baghdad, which is the capital city of Iraq. Now, 5 major oil producers back then, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi and Venezuela, they formed this grouping with an aim to coordinate their production and policies for crude oil. Right now, you need to understand major oil producers in the world like Middle Eastern countries, their economy is dependent on the prices of crude oil. So if the prices of crude oil increase, these economy perform very well. And if the prices of crude oil reduce, these economy faces certain macroeconomic problems. So obviously for them, stability of crude oil prices is important and a supply deficit is necessary in the market so that it keeps an upward pressure on the prices of crude oil. Now, these OPEC plus grouping has evolved into total of 13 members. This includes major countries who are located in Middle Eastern region as well as Africa. Right now, in total, this OPEC plus accounts for about 30% of global crude oil production. So that is important. Now, few years back in 2016, other major producers of crude oil who were not part of OPEC, they formed a wider coalition, and this wider coalition is called as OPEC plus. Now, this includes many major non-OPEC members like Russia. So let us discuss what is the difference in the membership of these two bodies. Now, OPEC, I told you, consists of 13 different countries. So major oil producers, Saudi, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, all of them are in Middle East. They are part of OPEC, including Iran and Iraq. Now, most of the bodies where Iran is a member, you'd see other Middle Eastern countries who are rivals of Iran, they won't be a part of that grouping. But this is very unlike of OPEC. OPEC has interest of all the countries where they produce majorly crude oil, and Iran on one hand and other countries on the other hand like Saudi, UAE, both of them are part of it. Similarly, the country which has the largest reserves of crude oil, Venezuela, obviously is also a part of OPEC. So this was OPEC, consists of 13 members. Now there are 10 countries who are non-OPEC members. They formed a coalition called as OPEC plus, including the OPEC. So now it includes Russia and Mexico. Similarly, there are some other Middle Eastern countries who were not a part of OPEC, like Oman, like Bahrain. They have now also become a part of greater coalition called as OPEC plus. It also includes some African countries, South Sudan, as well as Central Asian republics, Azerbaijan, as well as Kazakhstan. So these are the major OPEC plus as well as OPEC countries. So I don't think so you should have a problem in determining which body or which country is a member of which coalition. Now, OPEC is responsible for 30% of global oil production. In together with the non-major OPEC countries or major oil producers who are not part of OPEC, OPEC Plus is responsible for 40% of world crude oil production, and the objective of this coalition is also the same as OPEC. They want to regulate the supply of oil so that the prices of oil are in a desirable range for these producers. Now, the leaders of oil producing countries in the OPEC Plus coalition are Saudi as well as Russia. These are the largest producers of crude oil in the OPEC Plus coalition. Understood? Now, before concluding our today's discussion, let us understand what are the important factors that influences the price of crude oil. First is the supply dynamics. Here, OPEC Plus decisions regarding production of crude oil plays a very important role. So, suppose these countries increase their production. This increase in production would lead to increase of supply of crude oil in the market, and naturally the prices of crude oil hence would reduce. Similarly, if they try to reduce their production, this would mean that there is a supply deficit in the market, and due to supply deficit there would be an upward pressure on the prices. Similarly, major economies in the world, including India, including China, including US, they maintain what is called as a strategic petroleum reserve. We have done a different video on how strategic petroleum reserves are maintained. So these countries, if they try to liquidate their strategic petroleum reserve, or if they try to release the crude oil that they have kept in the strategic petroleum reserve into the global markets, this would increase momentarily the supply of crude oil. Right, and this would put a downward pressure on the prices, but this you can understand is somewhat of a short-term measure. Similarly, if the opposite happens, if they try to purchase more crude oil to be kept safe in the strategic petroleum reserve, this would reduce the global supply of crude oil, therefore pushing the upward prices or upward pressure on the prices. So this is how major decisions on production and major decisions on storage determine the prices of crude oil. Similarly, demand factor also plays a very important role. Suppose if there is a global growth in major economies like India, China, US, Europe, there would be an increased demand for crude oil and petroleum products. So this increased demand of crude oil and petroleum products would create an upward pressure of prices. Similarly, there are many seasonal factors also that determine the prices of crude oil. For example, in the months of winter, the colder countries like in European Union, like in Russia, their consumption of petroleum products increase due to heating requirements. So this creates another upward pressure on the prices of crude oil. Similarly, during summer months, we have seen the transportation increases. So this further increases the demand for crude oil and therefore increases the prices of crude oil. Now, the major important part that has played an important role in the past few years is the geopolitical tensions. Now, where is geopolitical tensions happening? It is happening between Russia and Ukraine on one hand. Russia is a major producer of crude oil, which I have already told you, it is a part of OPEC Plus coalition. Similarly, there is a conflict going on in the Middle Eastern region between Israel and Hamas on another hand, which has also increased to many countries like Iran, Qatar, etc. Now, these two regions where the global conflict is happening, these countries in the region are major producers of crude oil. So naturally, due to this conflict, there is a supply restrictions. What if there is an attack on a major crude oil producing refinery? This would create supply disruptions. Similarly, there was increased tension in the Red Sea region, where we have seen in the Red Sea region, in the Strait of Hormuz region, through which major oil tankers pass. So this also creates uncertainty regarding the delivery of crude oil. So both of these factors may lead to increased prices of crude oil. Why? Because of reduction in supply of crude oil. Similarly, US has tried to impose economic sanctions, be it on Venezuela, be it on Iran, be it on Russia. Now, all these three countries are a part of OPEC as well as OPEC Plus coalition, right? Russia is not a part of OPEC, but part of OPEC Plus coalition. So, economic sanctions on these countries, it makes it difficult for purchasers of crude oil like India, like China to purchase crude oil from these countries. So, this reduces the global supply of crude oil, increasing or leading to upward pressure on the prices of crude oil. Similarly, currency fluctuation, particularly the prices of dollars, have an important impact on the prices of crude oil because most of the global transactions in crude oil purchases happens in US dollars. So if the US dollar strengthens, it increases the total liability of the countries in terms of US dollar payment when they have to make payment for crude oil. So if US dollar strengthens, the countries like India will have to shell out more of their domestic currencies to buy the same unit of crude oil. So it makes purchase of crude oil in terms of domestic currencies more expensive. Understood? So these are the major factors that you'll have to keep in mind so as to decide how the prices of crude oil changes in the international market. Now let us try to solve the question. But before that, I have an important announcement that I need to make. Now, students who are looking to give exams in the year 2027 or in 2028, right now is the best time for you to take admissions. Now, if you take admissions right now, you'll have roughly, if you are attempting 2027 exam, roughly 1.75 years, right? So, 3/4 of 1 year. Now, this gives you an ample amount of time to go through your basics. It also gives you an ample amount of time to go through advanced courses. After that, you'll have sufficient time to solve your practice mock test for both mains and prelims. So this is the right time for you to take admission, and we are offering courses for both 27 and 28 in English, in bilingual and in Hindi batches. So the choice is up to you. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can take admissions, but please remember one thing. To take admissions, you have to apply this code because this code would give you maximum discounts on not just English, but also in all the other courses of our StudyIQ platform, including optional subjects. So please don't delay your decision making. The batch starts from today only, that is 8th of October. So please hurry up. You can take the admission at the discounted rate, provided you use this code, okay? Now let us try to solve this question. This question appeared in 2020. The prices of West Texas Intermediate, sometimes seen in the news, is related to what? It is one of the grade of crude oil. Now you might think you have heard crude oil, then what is the grade of crude oil? Let me tell you. Now crude oil, whenever they are available in different parts of the globe, the quality of crude oil varies. It depends on the density of the crude oil. It might be light, it might be heavy, it might be medium. And there's also the differences in the sulfur content that is available in the crude oil. So if there is a high sulfur content in the crude oil, it would make that crude oil sour crude oil. And if there is less amount of sulfur available in the crude oil, it would make that crude oil sweet crude oil, right? So depending upon the density, depending upon the sulfur content, we have categorized crude oil available in the different regions into different grades. So what are important grades? It includes Brent, which is the crude oil available in the North Sea region. Similarly, Western Texas Intermediate, you don't need to understand, this is a crude oil that is available in US. Similarly, Urals, which is a crude oil available in Russia. There is another important grade known as, which is available in Iraq, right? That is also important. Similarly, Bonny Light, it is a grade of crude oil available in Nigeria, and Arab Light is the crude oil available in Saudi Arabia, right? So these are the important grades that you'll have to remember. Once again, do not have to remember what is what type and what sulfur content. Just remember the variants of crude oil differs as per the content of sulfur and as per its density. This is what you need to remember. I have given you sufficient data. You can refer to it after the end of the class. Now, similarly, I want you to solve this practice question. With reference to OPEC Plus, consider the following statements. Which of the two statements are correct? Do let me know in the comment section. The ones who answer it correctly will get a thumbs up from my side. So this is all for today's video. And if you want to download the notes, they will be made available on this Telegram channel. If you have problems finding it, you can obviously scan this QR code. So we'll see each other again. Please have a very good night.